Today's Cosplay Con Talk episode is sponsored by Moco Queen Color Contacts. Don't forget to use my code Wayne for 10% off at checkout at mocoqueen.com. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. I'm here with a very special guest who you may see on TikTok giving good cosplay advice and advice in general. I'm here with Terrible Tidbit. How we
Hello.
doing? How we doing, Tid?
Not bad. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing really well. Real quick, I want to thank you for coming on, and also I gotta thank the Zydrate system, uh, Medium Human, and Creepy Mama for recommending you.
They're all wonderful. If anyone doesn't follow them, go check them out on TikTok.
I highly recommend it. I can't recommend it enough. So to begin, how long have you been cosplaying for, and what got you into cosplay?
Oh man. I first cosplayed. I'm gonna date myself here a bit. I remember getting back in the old days when we got magazines, right? I got an issue of the Star Wars Insider that showed the first picture of Darth Maul in the upcoming Phantom Menace movie. And I decided to go as Darth Maul, wore that to school, sixth grade, and then to the premiere that night back in the day. And I had been doing cosplay all the way up through end of high school, beginning of college. And then I took a break because my photos ended up in a not fun thread on the Something Awful forums.
Hmm.
And that was discouraging for me. And I actually picked it back up. Um, I want to say 2014.
So technically you've been cosplaying for 20 years then.
Oh my gosh, you put a number on it. No.
Oh, well, that's a good thing because if you've been, I consider people who've been and I did a podcast panel on this a while back. If you've been cosplaying for 10 plus years, you are what I call a cosplay veteran. You have seen the change of how cosplay has become more acceptable here in the States. You've also seen what conventions look like. You've seen the trends from the glom circles to the yaoi
Oh
paddles
my
to the
gosh.
if you pay me $5, I'll slap you.
Oh gosh, yes. My first convention ever was I want to say it was either 2000 or 2001's Otakon.
I have heard I've heard stories about that con.
Oh, it was great. It was small compared to the ones we go back to these days. Um, and it was a big deal. We had a Japanese voice actor there that year. Um, at the time, I guess he was big for Tamahome and Fushigi Yugi, Hero in Gundam Wing, and my favorite, Zelgadis and Slayers.
I've only heard of one of those, and that's Gundam Wing.
His name is Hikaru Midorikawa, and he was wonderful. It was great getting to do a panel and see him talk. Good times.
I've
It's
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you don't really see Japanese VAs over here at cons anymore.
No, I mean, a con I went to this year back in November, they had Japanese band called Acme as a guest.
I love that. I wish it was easier.
Oh no,
Um,
it takes a lot, especially
yeah.
since they're like thousands of miles away, and not to mention the money you have to spend just like,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
we want you over here.
It's strange because while the attendance of cons has gone way up, and so you'd think they're making lots more money, the popularity of anime has also put a lot of like pressure on everyone, and so it would probably cost more to get them over for the
I
big
mean,
cons.
I mean, look at Anime Expo. Just, I'm not bashing them, but like, hmm, hmm, that's all I have to say. So technically your first cosplay was Darth Maul from the Phantom Menace,
Yep.
technically. And Otakon, what was that like back in the early 2000s?
Oh man. So I went with my high school anime club, and
I
this
remember
was
those were a thing.
this was at the height of the meme of pirates versus ninjas.
Ha!
And so our anime club saw these two new anime coming out, and we used to do the thing where you would get the Shanghai subtitles on CD-ROMs mailed to you. Um, so we could only pick one that we were going to follow, and it was these two new shows. One was called Naruto, and the other was called One Piece. And we had picked One Piece because we picked pirates. And so we did a group cosplay. I was Tashigi, and my boyfriend at the time was Smoker. And we went, and I would say probably only about between 10, 14,000 people were there.
That's a
Um,
lot considering,
well,
I don't know.
it's Otakon, so it was huge at the time. But considering Phoenix Fan Fusion, I was there one year when we broke 100,000. It
I mean,
feels
and
like
just hearing how cons like back then had a lot of people, considering, cons conventions and cosplays were like still slowly becoming a thing. I think it was until like 2008, 2009 is when they were becoming more mainstream because you had people like Yaya Han, Jessica Nigri, Kamoya
yep,
Cosplay like coming into the fold.
exactly. Um, the dealer's room was very small. Um, it was people walking around with the body pillows and the gowie paddles and
Oh,
the free hugs or free glomp signs. It was the
oh,
height of
stuff
that.
that would get you kicked out of a con nowadays.
Someone stopped me for an interview, and I cringe thinking about my replies. Let's not look back at late high school weeb me answering this random reporter's questions. Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
I want to assure anyone younger listening to this that it is perfectly normal to cringe at your adolescence.
I mean,
It is fine.
I do that all the time. I still do that to this day.
Embrace it. It is normal. I promise you, most of your other friends will also lay awake in the middle of the night with the horror in their eyes,
Like, oh my
remembering
God, did I
that.
actually just say that back then? Oh, geez. But
I
Otakon, it sounds like Otakon had a lot of people, and the fact that you guys did One Piece, especially when One Piece was, this was the 4 Kids TV would probably, in my opinion, the best intro to an anime ever to this
Oh
day.
gosh. Yeah, it was technically before the dub had even come out.
Ooh.
Yeah. Um,
Back
like
in the day
I
where we can only watch like 30 seconds of like an episode, and while also waiting for the internet to
oh
fully load. It's like here you can watch 5 minutes of like episode one, and then you have to hope you can find it part two on YouTube somewhere.
or even worse, by the time I was in college, I was using Kaza to download episodes, and Fruits Basket had just come out, the original Fruits Basket, and I was trying to download that. And what I would do is my long distance boyfriend that I met on a Star Wars forum at the time, we would watch anime together on the phone while I was at college. Um, well, one day I downloaded what I thought was the next Fruits Basket episode. It was not. It was Ninja Scroll.
Oh, oh, you poor
We
thing.
did some learning. We just,
Today, boys and girls, we're gonna learn about Ninja Scroll.
oh
Oh.
my goodness.
So have you actually ever also, I mean, speaking of these old animes, have you ever cosplayed, aside from One Piece and Darth Maul, have you ever cosplayed from any other older media? We'll get to that part later. So Otakon, this is what you said back in 2001?
Yep.
I didn't know that's been out that long. So what was it like with you and your anime club going to Otakon back, 20 years ago?
Oh, it was wonderful and awful at the same time. We had about between 6 to 8 of us, I think, but we only had one hotel room. We were shoulder to shoulder on the floor.
Oh God.
We came down from Rhode Island for it. We all drove in the same big old van. I it was like I want to say 8 to 9 hour drive, and it was all us finding MP3s that we put on CDs for custom mixes, and it was anime openings and a whole bunch of Morning Musume songs.
Oh God, this is just like peak 2000s right here.
And the president of the anime club, her mom was the one that drove us down there.
Thanks, Mom.
I made poor decisions because I was very, very young at the time. I remember walking 8 blocks back to our hotel at like 2 a.m. because the rave was just too much for little me. Dressed up as a character from Slayers, just like ridiculous. One lone person walking back to the con 8 blocks in the
Wait, you were
middle of
old
the
enough,
night.
you were old enough to go to the rave?
Back then there was no like alcohol or anything. It was
Oh, it's
just
just more of
sort
a
of like loud
okay.
music and lights and
Because
everybody.
nowadays you have to be 18 and older to go to a rave.
Ah, I'm calling it the rave. They probably just called it like the dance party
A
or
dance
something like
party. I
that.
mean, well,
Yeah.
so
Everything was a
Slayers.
lot more casual with age gating and stuff back then.
What?
And
Who
I
was it?
think
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah,
Continue.
I think a lot of lessons were learned early on in the con days, and a lot of cons are getting better. Not all of them, but a lot of them are getting better at stuff like that.
So you said you're cosplaying from the anime Slayers?
Yes.
You can correct me if I'm wrong. Oh wow, yeah, this is like late 80s, early 90s anime right there.
Oh, there we go. Uh,
Who'd you cosplay as? If we're in the main
so I've been a couple of them. I was a character from the third season, Slayer's Try. Golden Dragon Priestess. Her name was Philia Ulcopt, and it was mostly because I loved me her like two characters that hate each other, but they're also paired together a lot. Zelos, who was from the demon race in that one. That
hmm.
was my big, it was my first husbando.
Do you have pictures of these cosplays? If you don't, that's okay.
I do not, sadly, and if I did, I would set them on fire.
There's the thing. No, the world doesn't need to see these.
Um, I could always, I don't know if I have any of the One Piece group photos, because again, this is so long ago.
Well, that's okay because what I'll do is I just put a picture of the character if you don't have the cosplay photos. Makes
Yeah.
it easier. So people will know who we're talking about. Nice. So if you can remember, and if not, that's okay. How many conventions have you been to altogether?
Let's see. Two, three, 11 or 12, I want to say.
That's not bad though.
Oh, wait, no, 13. 13. I forget that I went out for Rhode Island Comic Con
Ooh,
last year.
nice.
I went with Creepy Mama and Zydrate, that whole family.
Nice. Again, great people. Um, so you've also, I imagine you've traveled out of state for conventions. What's that been like traveling out of state for cons?
Oh, I haven't traveled out of state except for that one. And that was just because I got to bum with them. Hotels are expensive. And
Hmm.
right now, I'm a full-time performer as an income, which, is gig work. So I save my money for health insurance bills and whatnot.
But I imagine if you know there's like a free con and it's worth going to, you'll go to it.
Oh, if a con can provide either travel expenses or the hotel for me, I will go there so fast.
And not to mention there's also your free cons too that doesn't charge anything.
Yeah. I do a lot of local ones. Because I had top surgery this year, I wasn't able to go to Saboten, but that's one that's local that I go to. And I am always at Phoenix Fan Fusion, and I am now also usually at least doing 4 panels there. And next year I might even be in the drag show that they put on.
Ooh. Okay, I'm familiar with Subaltern. It's the where the mascot is a cactus.
Yes.
Oh well, their logo, their logo's changed because I remember the other one where his arms were like this, you know, smiley face. This is their new
Yep.
Subaltern 2024. Oh, it's a fe okay. All right. Yeah, I don't think I'm not sure if I've heard of this con,
It's a smaller one. Um,
but it's well known because I've heard of it before.
oh yeah. It gets some good names. The vending is fantastic. Wonderful people there.
23,000 in attendance as of 2021. Wow, that's a lot. That just sounds like a lot of people.
It's a lot of people considering it's all in one hotel. The
Oh,
elevators are,
it's a hotel con?
yeah.
Oh, I imagine for someone who's for someone who's had to wait on elevators because of a convention, I can tell you it is not fun.
Yep. Put aside at least half an hour just to get back to your room.
Just might as well take the stairs at that point.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, what's it been like going to these cons over the past 20 years?
Um, honestly, I look forward to it for like a whole year before each one. I love being able to be around so many people with like interests. Um, it's little side tangent here. As I was getting back into cons, one of the things I was able to do, I was still a teacher at the time. I was a teacher here in Arizona for 10 years, art teacher. I was able to take our anime club to the Friday
And
day of the fan feast.
it's always in the art room too, for where they have anime
Oh
clubs.
yeah. And I remember the way I really got back, the way I actually ended up getting into TikTok cosplay was because of my students. Leading up to things, I was like, oh, well, it would be cool if we all did, we'd been watching My Hero Academia, and I said, I could go as one of the teachers. Why don't I go as Mr. Aizawa, and you all could be different students because there's so many My Hero characters. Well, about a month and a half before we're gonna go to the con, the club decided they wanted to change their minds. They didn't want to do My Hero Academia anymore after I had my Aizawa costume. They wanted to do Tokyo Ghoul,
Oh.
and I gave them all the like, we don't even watch that here.
Ew.
You're watching this? And
That's not kid friendly.
they insisted that I go as the character Uta because I have lip piercings and obviously none of them have them. So there I am at the con shepherding a whole group of, I would say, seventh to 11th grade weebs around the con dressed
Okay.
as Tokyo Ghoul, except for we had
Oh,
one.
I've heard of. Okay, I'm familiar with Uta now. He has red eyes. I
Yes.
take it this was the version you were doing.
Yep, that was me. I can probably find photos and send them to you later.
Those are some interesting looking shoes. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, they're like clog Crocs. They were the most comfortable. It was actually a really comfortable cosplay aside from the contacts.
So you said they were like clogs and crocs, so they're clocks basically.
Yes. Yes, they were.
I mean that also looks like just something you would wear just in general, even out of a con.
Oh yeah, I love it when my characters are just wearing comfy clothes. Uta has such comfortable clothes. He's just chill, hanging out. It's also based on one of my favorite musical artists, Miyavi.
Nice. And you've also done Aizawa, right?
Aizawa is what made me first blow up on TikTok because while I was still a teacher, I would live stream while grading my actual students' work, and I would talk about them like they were students from class 1A, so that, save their privacy and just like, "Ah, Mina, you gotta get your work in on time."
This is why you get bad grades. Oh, that is awesome that you actually, you have fun doing this, not just at cons, but in your own daily life.
Oh yeah. And cosplay was one of the things that really helped during the pandemic when we went online,
Oh,
is
I
I
remember
promised
that.
my students, hey, I will wear a different cosplay each week. And so if you show up for the instructional videos, you'll see me in cosplay. And I did that for the entire year that we were online. And that's
Man.
why they were like, "Oh, you should get on TikTok." And I didn't know anything about it. I'm far too old.
But the fact that they wanted you to cosplay a character from an anime, I mean, let's face it. When people were us back in high school, we were watching anime we shouldn't have been watching.
You're not wrong.
I'm just saying.
I think Battle Angel Alita was one of my first ones.
Jeez, wow.
So gory. That's why I don't really get too angry when I find out my students had been watching stuff that was like a little bit older for them. I understand the appeal, and so a lot of times what we would be watching in Anime Club would ride the line.
Mm,
Like for example, our first year we did Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood,
not bad.
and we did um Madoka Magica, which was interesting because the way we had timed it was the Nina and Alexander episode fell on the same episode as episode 3 of Madoka Magica, where things take a very different
Oh
turn.
no.
It's just depression day at Anime Club. It was fine.
Jeez. This brings me to a question I have not asked in a long time, and usually I would ask this later on. What kind of advice would you want to give the younger crowd who wants to get into cosplay and they want to cosplay a specific character they shouldn't cosplay? What advice would you want to give? Also coming from
Mm,
someone who, you know, cosplays
yes.
certain characters as well.
Yes. Um, if you're cosplaying with your friends and just like your friend group, you're not going to a con or something, that's whatever. I know that my kids are watching, well, not anymore, not a teacher anymore, but I know that they were watching things that were not necessarily appropriate for them. The difference is when you put yourself out there in a public setting. Um, there's going to be people who are inappropriate because they assume you might be of age, and then there's going to be people who don't care. And while I want people to have fun with their cosplay, you also have to be aware that you'd be putting yourself in danger. Not that you should never do a thing that you're passionate about, but you should be aware that you're more likely to find yourself in some difficult situations when you
Oh,
do.
I wholeheartedly agree. Just because, for example, Missouri from Rosary Vampire 17 doesn't necessarily mean a 17-year-old should cosplay that character.
Yeah. If you are, well, for example, I know a lot of my students liked Has Been Hotel.
Mm. That's a gray area in my opinion.
Um, and I warned them that in interacting with this fandom in general, like even not even counting cosplay, it means that since the target audience is going to be an older audience, a lot of them will potentially assume that you are not a minor when you're interacting with that content. And again, that can put you in a dangerous position.
And it's good to have if you're gonna cosplay from an anime that is or a show that is, you're too old for it. It's good to have like a parent or guardian with you.
Yeah, which is why I allowed the Tokyo Ghoul one. In for one thing, none of the costumes were, say, showing too much skin. They were all fairly conservative. And I was there walking around with them, ready to mess up someone's day if they looked wrong at one of my students. I wasn't dressed as Aizawa that day, but I went in with Aizawa mindset. You stay away from my kids.
You basically, as I put it, you were like a convention exit buddy. If things got a little too out of hand, you're like, okay, let's go over here or let's go do something else and not be involved in whatever's going on at this
Yeah.
area.
In general, if you're a minor cosplaying, you should always have someone else with you. You need another set of eyes, and especially someone who's not going to be shy about shutting someone down verbally if they try anything. I wish we could say that conventions were a safe place for you to just
Not
have
always.
fun, but it's just not the case.
Oh no. Especially with like these new fandoms and everything coming out. People are wanting to, which brings me to a two-part question I always ask. Advice for non cosplayers going to a convention.
Um, So first of all, you definitely don't have to cosplay to go to a convention. I know some people who were under the impression if they don't wear anything related to a fandom that they shouldn't go. And it's no. Where honestly, you are the smarter person between all of us if you are going in comfortable clothing to to a convention. Please. Um, please also remember though that cosplayers are not the character they are dressed up as.
In
Um,
Disneyland.
yeah. Uh, when you interact with them, whether it's in character or out, please remember that they are people with feelings. I know that you can get very excited about seeing characters, but like, say you see a villain character, please don't shout abuse at them because they're a villain. That's a person. Um, please don't say inappropriate things to a character just because you really like that character. Um, watch your mouth. Consent, please.
What's your profanity?
And if you see a cosplayer sitting down and eating, and I know this has probably been said a million times,
Oh, it
please let us
has.
eat. Please let us eat.
You
I
don't
am
want.
a sucker. I will put down my like very expensive one slice of pizza and stand up and pose for you because I like the enthusiasm. But also just let me eat my pizza.
It's like if you see Aizawa eating a burger or whatever, they probably don't want to be bothered.
Yes.
Uh,
I I will always be the one that, sighs and does it anyways because I do like to see people being excited and smiling. And
mhm.
I like to make people's day, especially now that sometimes people recognize me from TikTok. I'll always take a minute and, get up, take photos with them and thank them for following my content, all of that. Um, even when I'm very, very tired.
It's definitely different when you go to a con and you get recognized by other people who follow your cons. It's like, oh, hi, who are you?
It can be a little weird. Um, Even at the height of my TikTok content, my first TikTok channel before it got shut down was at about 160,000. Um, so good enough that I got recognized a fair few times at con that year. But also, it's so weird to think of like, oh, I have to consider my fans.
Hmm.
That's such a, I will never wrap my head around that concept. But it is something that I had to figure into my planning that year at con because I had people who flew out to Phoenix Fan Fusion to see me. So
Really?
yeah, I set some time aside to make sure that we could like hang out over at the Hyatt and stuff like that.
And as you said, you like you're this is your fifth TikTok now, and you're already almost at 10K.
I recover fairly quickly up to, I can usually get to about 8K pretty quick, but lately being trans and being a drag artist on the side means that if I ever go live, because that used to be the bread and butter of what I would do, I would dress up as a character and be vaguely in character on a live stream. I do that now, and the last two times it was immediately after I had mentioned that I was working on a Beetlejuice drag costume in one.
Ooh.
And someone got mad that I mentioned drag because obviously that means I'm a horrible person.
That
And they
is,
made a whole bunch of false reports. And TikTok, for me, I guess, has a one time you're out. I can no longer live stream on that channel. And on my other one, uh, I mentioned that I was having my top surgery soon. And immediately the live got taken down. And again,
oh,
I didn't get three strikes, I'm out. It was my first one,
oh
and
man.
can't
And
can't go live
you
anymore.
did your Beetlejuice drag, right? If I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
think I've seen it, and it's the one that's the one thing I like is when people And I've had two other drag cosplayers come on here before. When they do cosplay and drag, it's like the coolest thing ever. Oh, we froze. Oh, we froze. That was weird.
All right, we're back. I can hear you.
Okay, that was it's just the weather and the internet and like this
Yeah.
how I have a laptop that's from 2017. But no, I like your Beetlejuice drag and and like I said, I've had drag cosplayers come on before, and the fact that they take just a regular character, turn into drag is like the coolest thing ever, in my opinion.
No, it's so much fun. Um, I'm hoping to be in the drag extravaganza next year. A bunch of my friends are in it at Phoenix Fan Fusion.
Ooh.
I'm also lucky enough, locally we have some people who were on Dragula, which is an alt drag.
I've seen that horror theme version. I've seen it on Netflix. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but like again, I would love personally, in my opinion, if I ever go to another big con, I would love to see a cosplay drag show. I've heard of the cosplay lingerie shows, this show, but I've never heard of a
Yep.
cosplay drag show. That would be the coolest thing ever, in my opinion. Granted, it would have to be an 18 plus event,
That's what we
pending.
do. We have the drag extravaganza every year. And then after that is the more burlesque show, the more
Ooh,
adult
fancy,
one. So the
fancy.
first one, I believe it's 18, it might be 21 plus because they sell alcohol in there. But it is definitely more for wider audiences, and all of the drag acts are cosplay based.
Nice.
I'm actually working on one right now. Um, it's a pink Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I want to do I'm Just Ken from Barbie.
I love that. And that'd be considered a future cosplay. So pink, Obi-Wan, I'm just Obi.
I'm putting it together right now. I've got his robe in the pink dye. We're gonna make it happen.
Oh, geez. And I know just dyeing cosplay in general takes a long time. Same with like dyeing a wig.
It's not that bad. Right now I'm prepping. I also work at the Arizona Renaissance Festival.
Ooh.
I'm a goblin character, and I'm putting together his outfit right now. Worked on I've got his hat I've been working on today.
oh, I love that.
So I've
Uh,
dyed a bunch of fabric for that.
and we'll talk about that when we get into the cosplay part. So you answered that. Now for one of my favorite questions, advised. Oh wait, no, Did I ask about it? No, I didn't. Advice for cosplayers wanting to go to a con, their first
Um,
con.
so if it's your first con, I understand that you want your cosplay to be as accurate as possible, but I am begging you to have comfortable shoes. So many of us make the mistake of just settling for whatever shoes we're supposed to have with the cosplay. And then you get back to the hotel room after the first day and your ankles are bloody. You now have to go the rest of the con with torn up feet, and you're not going to
Oh,
enjoy it as much. You're just not.
it's that's a bad thing though too.
I've done it multiple times.
I mean, you have the experience, plus you perform in drag, so you know
Yeah.
what it's like. But I'm sure you can also give that advice of if you're gonna wear any type of heel or anything lifted or boots in general, test them at home.
Yeah. For anything that needs to be worn in, get yourself some like leather stretch spray, um, and wear them around your house for a bunch. Wear them out for short little errands. Give them time to really be tested. If you have to wear something that's uncomfortable, figure out where the pressure points are going to be ahead of time and put like you can get those blister bandages that have a little bit of cushion. Put it on before you get the blister, and then have some thick socks over that, and that'll at least help a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, and if you really have to, it's okay if Princess Peach is wearing flats or Crocs.
Oh yeah. Have backup comfy shoes that you can switch into, or if you're like me, my solution has been I change cosplay times a day. I have like two different costumes per day, plus a casual outfit to go out and eat in. So I'll wear one in the morning. I'll come back, get into comfy clothes, go out and eat, come back, get into my second cosplay and go out and then limp home at night.
They just like, why is Bakugo limping like that?
Bakugo had a very hard day. Don't ask questions.
Bakugo needs a drink. Oh, jeez.
Very angry gremlin.
I mean, that's what I call him. I call him the angry fire gremlin.
I'm just in character. I'm just-
Just like how I call Rengoku from Demon Slayer the angry chicken boy.
Yes.
Oh man. So answer that, answer that. I guess now we'll talk about. Oh yeah, and I know you already believe in having the buddy system for a convention, I'm sure.
Yes. Um, I always have, well, unless I am incognito for a bit, sometimes I like need this one thing from one place in the dealer hall, and I don't want to stop and look at everything in the way. Otherwise, when I'm not on a mission, I'm always walking around with a buddy.
Even like your most seasoned con goers will always have someone go with them.
Yeah, it's much smarter to have someone else with you, um, for a variety of reasons, not even about protection from other con goers. It's like, what if you get lost? What if something happens? What if you say lose your phone? How are you going to contact people and let them know what's going on?
And internet in a con already sucks as it is. Losing your phone's like
Yeah.
the worst thing to happen.
At Phoenix Fan Fusion, depending on your carrier, sometimes phones just plain don't work in the basement where the dealer hall is. You just won't be able to connect. So you won't be able to tell people where you are at. So if you're trying to meet up with someone and you just can't use your phone, it can be very frustrating. So having someone else there can help.
Well, I agree. And what I've learned from my previous convention, go near the windows where they have those like little benches near the exits. That's like the best service out there. Best
Yeah.
service to get. Um, let's see. So you answered that. Now real quick, what future cons do you have planned for the upcoming end of the year and next year?
So right now I'm only planning on one because I've just had my top surgery and that was paid out of pocket.
And you don't want to overdo it
That
either.
that was that was about just shy of $9,000. So
Ooh.
we're going to Phoenix Fan Fusion, and that's gonna be it. Um, like I mentioned, I'm definitely doing four different panels next year, potentially a fifth one. We'll see. Um, and I'm going to probably be in the draft extravaganza.
Ooh.
Nothing is solid in that yet, although I have heard that because I already have an Astarion cosplay from Baldur's Gate 3 that
I've seen your Starion, by the way. He is everyone's favorite. Uh,
he is. I am a little shy about doing him on stage because I have these very full childbearing hips that just Astarion does not have. And I get a little self-conscious about it. I want to preface this with you can cosplay at any size, but when I'm going to be up on a stage performing, I get a little self-conscious about
it's different. Like around the con floor, that's one thing. But like when you're on stage, I get it. It's a whole different level.
it. Yeah, but that's what I'm looking at right now as well for next year. That and my Ken Obi number.
I'm looking forward to hearing about that. So now onto cosplay stuff. Um, when it comes to a cosplayer on a budget or someone who's wanted to get into cosplay, what advice would you like to give?
Um, Look at what you're trying to do and see how much of it can be broken down, not into like big fancy, I need to either make this from scratch or order it from like Easy Cosplay or something. What are the parts of it? Can you maybe use everyday clothing and alter it slightly to make it fit the cosplay? So much of my cosplay is actually just smaller pieces of things that I already had or that I could find for like 20 bucks on Amazon, and then just make some changes to it to make it fit.
That, I mean, I have to say from experience, buying bits and pieces of a cosplay on Amazon and making your own thing is probably like the best thing ever. Because one, you're saving money. Two, like you said, if you don't have, or like, for example, if you don't have the money to get one commissioned or buy one off a website, you like, and plus it's more durable too.
Yes. It's one of the things that I deal with having a larger backside area is if I'm going to order any of those pre-made ones to save time, they are not going to fit over my backside. That no, my butt is not getting into those pants. Not happening unless I order it too big and then tailor it in. That's the only option. I just find it easier to find, like, say, a pair of leggings or pants that are close enough. Learning how to dye stuff is a really big help because you can get something that's close and just make it the right color yourself. Picking up small little crafting skills as you go for what is needed for your cosplay. If it's just a small alteration and you're not sure how to do it, I promise you there is going to be a YouTube tutorial on it. There are
Oh,
so many.
I guarantee. Have you ever had to commission anything for anybody?
Have I not specifically. I've had people borrow my stuff before. I occasionally commission other people when I want something really, really high quality made. Um, but I haven't made anything for someone else that I don't get back eventually.
It happens. Let's see here. No, actually, since you're like I think I'm not sure if you're the first person bringing up. What's it been like dyeing stuff for your cosplays, and what techniques do you use?
It's less technique and more let's, screw around and find out, honestly. Um, Test swatches, if you can find like a test section of fabric that's like extra on the inside, snip it off and try dyeing that first. Do like a little test run, see if that works. Because there's going to be some that just won't hold even the dye for synthetics, or it's just going to not hold it as much as you want. You want to kind of mess around if you're really sure about the color. Order an extra bottle of dye and just be ready to be very liberal with it. Um, it's once I've figured out that it's not as big and scary a job to do as I thought, um, it's been really easy. I think the first thing I ever dyed, I made fun of because it looked like so Wreck-It Ralph 2 had a character called Yes, and she had this big fluffy blue coat that kind of glowed. Well, I figured out how to put some like LEDs in the lining very poorly at the time, but it was one of my first like crafting things for LED
Ooh.
use.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
that.
And
And plus, you already have the hair for it anyway.
yep, that's one of the reasons. Um, so I had this big fluffy coat, but it was white, and I'm like, oh, I can just dye that blue. So it looked like the photos I made jokes. It looked like I was murdering a Mareep from Pokemon, stuffed in a pot, just like
Oh.
trying real hard. You need to have something that's big enough so that the fabric can flow. I didn't do that. A lot of that poly stuff is not going to pick up the dye. I barely was able to get it a very light blue. It was a disaster. It looked okay. Like I don't think anyone like had any issues. Like you saw me dressed up and it's like, oh yeah, that's fine. No one's gonna come over and hold up like a shade thing to my coat and be like, that's too light. But it was a nightmare. Since then it's a lot easier. I understand um what I'm facing. I think it's almost important for you when you start like crafting your own cosplay stuff to really mess up bad at least once, and then you're good. once you've totally screwed something up, next time you go to do it, it's going to be so much better.
So speaking of cosplay clothes, I was actually looking through your Instagram. What was the process like making Vash's arm from Stampede?
So, would you believe that was my first time using EVA foam?
I want to say yes, but I also want to say no.
So I was able to order a pattern from Etsy. The only problem is the pattern didn't label where how to assemble it. So
Mm.
it was a bunch of mystery shapes. And I'm sitting there.
You
I
basically
was
had a
so
puzzle to
I
build.
was so terrified of making this piece that I didn't do it until a week before the con.
Con Crunch.
Yo,
Oh
so I'm
no.
doing EVA foam for the first time. I'm using a heat gun for the first time. Contact cements out. We're cutting out the pieces. Some of my foam is too thick, so I go to thinner foam, which I shouldn't have because it doesn't hold its shape as well. And we were staying up all night one night to get it all together. And then it looked amazing. It was wonderful. It was so worth like three
Man,
solid days of not sleeping. Um,
jeez. Now
and
I know how
again,
people
it's one of
feel.
those ones where it was a harrowing first experience and I made some mistakes. Like I finished that up in the hotel room, but now I know so much better. I think I'm going to use the pattern and remake the arm at some point,
Hmm.
make it better because now I have a better understanding of it.
Now I know how people feel when they make Edward's arm or McCree's arm from Overwatch.
Oh yeah. I mean, it looked amazing. And I even put LEDs in
Yeah,
it.
I saw like again I saw the progress, but the overall cosplay. Now, did you dye your hair or did you use a wig for
Oh,
Vash?
that's my hair. I dye my hair every couple of months. And usually what I do is
If it's okay if I show a picture,
yep,
just
go
real quick.
for
I mean that isn't
it.
that's impressive. Did you get the jacket online or do you have that made?
That was a red raincoat that I found that I tore apart and
That looks
made
really,
work.
really well done.
Thank you. It's one of my favorite ones. It's another one that's really comfortable.
I mean, imagine like it took a while just to get the hair the right color.
Nah, not really. I've been dyeing my hair since high school. I have only ever had my hair normal color. I shaved my head entirely once, and when it grew back, I let it stay because I did a Furiosa cosplay
Ooh.
that it worked for. But otherwise, my hair has almost always been dyed. It's my mutant ability is I cannot kill my hair. I do not recommend this for everybody, but for me, or no, you know what? I will give a recommendation. So if you want to dye your hair,
Hmm.
usually you want to bleach it first, and that's going to take a lot out of your hair. It's going to fry it. So you're going to want to treat it to a lot of conditioning and moisture treatments after that. But you can get a product called Cara Clenditioner, like clean conditioner.
Hmm.
And what it does is it sets a little bit of color in your hair every time you use it in the shower. So you're conditioning your hair and you're also kind of adding some dye to it each time.
Hmm.
And that will keep your hair soft while keeping it dyed, and it keeps your color from fading as quickly. So, usually, what I do to be good to my hair is I will go all the way to white, and I use my white hair for a number of different characters because of so many anime characters and my angel dust with white hair.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you did
And then
Angel Dust.
yep, I have an angel dust with my own hair, which is the whole thing. And then I just slowly, like, I'll go to blonde from there, which I use for my Vash. Sometimes I'll do like an undercut Bakugo. And then I'll go to usually like a red. And then if I want like anything like purple or blue or a darker color, I'll go there next. And then eventually to black. And that at that point, that will have been probably about 4 to 6 months. And then I'll bleach it and start all over.
Yeah, I think I remember you doing black for your Dorian cosplay from Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yep.
He's probably my favorite character of all time.
I love Dorian. And you know what? That Dorian is just piecemealed from different things.
And I mean, the best thing, with you getting, if you ever do Dorian again with you growing facial hair, it'll be much
Oh,
easier instead of like having to put on like the facial hair.
I can't wait until I can grow something better than a 13-year-old first puberty stash. I can't wait to have actual facial hair.
For someone who does grow facial hair and does just uses it for casual cosplay, it's like the best thing ever.
I have the little itty bitty hairs that are coming in, and I'll sit here and I'll be like, yes,
Oh
someday,
yeah, yeah.
someday I'll
Someday,
be
so be
able
able to
to.
you can do it with Mario if you wanted to or Luigi.
Actually, you know what I'm a really good ringer for?
Hmm.
My Gomez Adams.
Oh, you've done Gomez?
Yup.
Oh, okay. Wow, a lot of cosplays. So, wow, that's a lot of cosplays.
Um, I once
But
counted, and if you count like AU versions
mhm,
of the same character, I've done something like 80 different characters.
I believe it. I want to go back. So we talked about Furiosa. I'm kind of going to bring a little bit of geeking out into this. What do you
Yes.
think of the new upcoming standalone Furiosa movie? And what do you think of Chris Hemsworth unrecognizable face as like the quote unquote villain?
I am so excited. As someone who got like the comics about Furiosa's backstory when it came out, I am so excited to see this. I want to see how much of the comics they keep, if they even get to that point, because this is before the comics that they did.
Before she
Uh,
just shaved her hair and before Charlize Theron was Furiosa.
yeah. Before she was put in charge of protecting the wives and all of that.
Hmm.
Um, I'm really excited for it. I love the world of Mad Max. I'm not sure if I'm Wasteland Weekend ready to do that because I will go nuts if I can't have a proper shower. I'm sorry. But otherwise, I am all there. I love the aesthetic, post-apocalyptic stuff. I'm just such a huge fan of this. And I'm glad that they're allowing like I'm sure there's going to be people angry. Oh, this is Mad Max. Where's Max in this? Why are we watching some girl?
It's
I'm
from the
sure there's
world.
going to
It's
be,
from the world of Mad Max, just like
yeah.
from the world of Harry Potter with Fantastic
But
Beasts.
Furiosa had such an interesting story. We're going to learn about the rise of Immortan Joe and all of that. Oh, I'm
Hmm.
psyched. One of the top things on my list now that I've had my top surgery is I want to do a war boy where I just paint my chest. I've done one where I had like a unitard that I painted, but it's just not the same.
So War Boy. So that's a dream cosplay then.
Definitely one of them. I don't know if I necessarily want to be Nux, um, but
Oh, is
a
that the?
war
Isn't
boy.
is it? Wasn't he played by what's his name who played in Warm Bodies and Renfield?
Yes. He completely changes every role that he does. Like you don't recognize him, except for he's got in the face. He's got that like
Oh, he was also Beast
baby
in.
face.
He was also Beast in the X-Men prequel
Yes.
films.
He's done so much.
Oh yeah,
I
no, that guy's got range for sure. Anyway, going back to cosplay con talk, we talked about a bunch of the cosplay stuff. You've also given some good advice because I don't think I've ever talked the topic about what you should do if you want to use your natural hair for a cosplay.
yeah. The other advice for that is got to be glued and a hair dryer. Just
I've used Got to Be Glued
patience.
and it's Got to Be Glued is also good for wigs.
Yes, I use it for wigs and I do my best to style my hair the same. It's never going to be as good because I can't take my hair off and put it on a mannequin head and style it from the back, but I do my best. I try.
Oh no, that's I think that's all that really matters. Now into some of the cosplays, and it's a question I'm gonna actually ask while Darren talk about your cosplays. What is what's that cosplay you haven't done in so long that you would like to bring back?
Um, so it's a combo of bringing it back, but also revamping it. Um, so this tattoo right here,
Sebastian Michaelis.
nope, it's a little bit older. This is for punching vampire Nazis. It's my Nazi punching hand. This is
Oh,
Alucard's
Alucard.
sigil. I love Alucard from Helsing so much. I've done several cosplays of him. I actually I did a whole series of sound clips from the abridged series.
Some of the stuff I can't repeat, but I think one of my favorite ones is the are crusading while they are invading.
Yes, yes. I don't know how much of it we could quote on here, honestly. But
Uh,
the thing is, when I made a compilation, because someone had seen my tattoo in a TikTok, and they're like, "Have you ever watched Hellsing Abridged?" And so my reply was, And then it was a montage of like 2 minutes of all of my Hellsing Abridged content. Takahata, the voice of Alucard in the Abridged series, found that TikTok and commented on it, and I just like,
Well, like when he showed me the tattoo and the black nose, like Sebastian.
I do get a lot of people who think it's Sebastian, but it's when you get
Oh yeah, okay, I could
the
see that.
writing around it.
To Alucard. Then did you do like the whole everything? Did you use your natural hair too for Alucard?
Yes, well, most of it. I have done it with a wig. I don't like it as much. My hair is shorter than when I first did Alucard because that was right as I was figuring my trans status out. My hair was down to here. It worked a lot better. Last time I did it with my natural hair like that. Oh God. That was when Seto was visiting. Seto Snoops Long. Um, Seto had an Anderson and I did my Alucard and we did some TikToks together. Seto is probably best known as like the Endeavor cosplayer on TikTok.
Hmm.
Um, but since then, I went through a period of time where I was very uncomfortable like putting on the long-haired wigs because I looked so feminine and I was trying to like come to
Get out,
grips.
get out of that phase in a
Yeah.
sense.
I think now that I have my top surgery, I wouldn't feel so bad putting on a long wig again. But also, I had this cosplay piece made, or I actually used it for drag first. But then I also used it for my Dreadwolf Solus from Dragon Age.
Oh,
It's
another game I'm looking forward to.
the wolf head with the
Good
six
old
eyes. I
good old
want to
Stolas.
do Hellhound Alucard.
Another dream cosplay.
I want to make the suit with a whole bunch of eyes with LEDs behind it and have that piece. And I want to make like a dog puppet for the other Hellhound that I can
Ooh.
have on my arm. Uh,
Now,
I would,
did you for Stolas, aka the Dreadwolf, aka the main potential baddie for Dragon Age 4, then
yeah.
did you use a ball cap or did you shave your head?
Um, so for the TikToks, I was lazy and I'm wearing that wolf head to hide my hair. But when I went to Phoenix Fan Fusion last year, I used a ball cap and I
If
hated that. That was
if this
awful.
if I can show the picture.
Go right ahead. Yep, that's a bald cap.
I mean, it's like the fact that you made it match your skin tone is impressive.
It just takes so long and I'll use liquid latex. I don't have an issue with using it, but that amount of trying to hide the seam, it took so long.
Oh,
It
I'll
just
bet.
ugh. And then I was supposed to do a performance that night as Solus, but I had to be in another costume in between, and I ripped my bald cap
Oh
and
no.
I took it off and
No.
and I forgot to bring my backup, so I wasn't able to perform that night.
Oh,
Yeah,
that is never fun.
which is too bad because now that I have the headpiece, I could have performed with the headpiece on, just hid the fact that I had hair.
Um, now, as I call it, one and dones. Basically, it was a cosplay that you did because a friend asked you, you were curious about it, but like when you put it on or whatever, it's like, yeah, I don't think I ever want to do this again. Or if I do end up doing it, it will be a while because I have to be in the mood for it kind of thing.
I've done a lot of those because for a while there, my patrons, my Patreon, people would buy me cosplay on there, and I would do it, and like, oh gosh.
What's like, I guess, what's the weirdest Patreon request of a cosplay you've got then for someone that you're just like, I'll do
So
it, but I'm not gonna like it?
so it's one that I did and I would have liked, except that it was impossible to exist in. And this is going to be really, really niche. There's a teacher in My Hero Academia named Hound Dog,
I'm looking that up right now. Continue.
and they wanted like a very attractive version of Hound Dog. They bought me a fur vest and everything, but the thing is, at the time, I needed to wear my fake silicone male chest, but also I was wearing long nails for claws, which means that when the chest needed to be pulled down, I couldn't pull it down without potentially puncturing it with my
I'm gonna
nails.
use my one F word, but how the fuck you go to get in something like that? How do you get in something, especially with like the muzzle? That just, I feel like
I
okay, like
I used a real muzzle.
the cosplay looks cool, but I feel like the muzzle would be uncomfortable as shit.
Oh, very uncomfortable. I got a big headache from it, and trying to get the wig to look okay while the strap is going down the middle of the wig, that was awful. There's just so many parts that need adjusting, and then I can't function with nails longer than what I have right now. And so having the long nails on it is just impossible.
Oh,
It used to be my frustration with my Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen when I would wear the fake chest for that because I would put on longer nails for him and then I couldn't pull it down to the point where last time I did Sukuna, I was like, no, y'all don't get nails. No nails.
Okay.
Although now I won't have that problem anymore.
Sukuna, okay. Yeah, and I was like looking at Hound Dog cosplays and like it showed pictures and like one person cosplaying Sukuna while wearing the metal muzzle.
No.
That's just that just I mean it looks cool, but like aesthetically it looks cool, but like if you were to wear that, if I was to wear that, it's like, nope, I can't do this and I have something
No.
on my mouth.
There,
No, thank
there's
you.
a lot of stuff that I only wear because I could wear it inside for TikToks and never go outside. Another one was steering away from anime for a while. Uh, are you familiar with World of Warcraft at all?
Yes, I am.
I did a blood troll before I transitioned and complete with like the little strap of a bikini and the like loincloth. Um, It's what I use a lot when I want to shock people with my transition. I use that as before because it's very feminine looking, but I had to paint my whole body white with
Oh, I don't know if I can show that,
yeah, it's
but
it's
like that right there.
yeah, yeah. I would never wear that doors ever. If I like bend slightly the wrong
All
way,
right.
it's
And
mm-mm.
here's what a male blood troll looks like that I can show.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you gotta if you know I mean that I think that's the that, yeah I can't show I don't know if I can show the cosplay of that,
It's fine. It's fine.
but
It's
I can show a picture of a blood troll. Just I gotta find like a good one that doesn't look as
it's
that doesn't look
from
as S and Emmy.
it's from the tidbit of Christmas past. I have a lot of characters that were femme that I kind of want to reimagine and do more masculine. One of the one that's on the list is my favorite character from Konosuba. I want to do a mask version of Darkness so bad. I've done femme Darkness from Konosuba, original Darkness, but I would like to do like a great big himbo Darkness.
Fem Fem dark. Okay, I got that. And then darkness,
Darkness from Konosuba.
darkness, Konosuba. Okay,
Which
okay.
for younger listeners, not necessarily an anime for you. It's got some raunchier humor in it.
I mean, I've watched the quote unquote original abridged version for Ghost Stories. So,
Oh, yeah, okay, then you're fine. Konosuba is in terms of isekai, it's the isekai that gets closest to like an actual D&D game where everybody is just a chaos gremlin doing their own thing and messing everything up. And I love
uh,
that so
is
much.
I mean, you can.
Yep, that's
Okay,
her.
when you said darkness, I was thinking like menacing, scary, not sweet and innocent looking.
Oh, she's not innocent, and she picked the name
Oh,
because she
I've
doesn't want to
seen people
seem.
cosplay characters from this anime.
Yes, it's very popular. I have actually, hold on, I'm gonna tilt my camera.
Oh, nice.
So the cabbages up there were part of my darkness cosplay because there's a scene where she's attacked by flying cabbages,
I
and so
mean,
I had those
if I was attacked,
attached.
if I was attacked by the way, I love the Iron Bull picture in the background.
Oh, thank you.
But no, if I was attacked by those type of cabbages, it's like, okay, just take me. I'm yours.
I had joked that at some point I wanted to run into like someone with a cabbage cart from
My
Avatar.
cabbages!
Do that.
Okay. So before I ask the final one, what's like the biggest cosplay you've ever done, whether it's just a lot of armor, it was or big or bulky and everything, and it's like, was it ever easy to go to the bathroom in it?
Oh,
I don't make that question. I don't ask that question to sound weird. It's just I know when
no, no,
people
no.
do
Like
big
it
cosplays, like how the frick do you go to the bathroom in that thing, or do you just hold it in all day and or do you just like attach a catheter or something? What's your trick? Tell me your secrets.
Um, so I have a couple of different kinds of difficult ones. The Vash one was hard because it was my dominant hand. And so doing anything with all of that foam on my hand, it was very difficult. And trying to get it off and on would be difficult. I couldn't like if I was going to go to the bathroom, I wouldn't be able to pull anything down with that on. So that was probably one of my more difficult ones in terms of armor layers. Um, but the cosplay that required me to have a babysitter so that I wouldn't get in trouble is my Kurogiri. And that's because I wear blind contacts for him.
Ooh.
Blind contacts, and I use yellow wool, and I got to be glue spray to make the like yellow come from his eyes and go up into
Oh,
the hair.
I've seen Zydrate's version of Kurogiri.
Yeah, I so my tattoo, my neck is Kurogiri.
Oh, I was like wondering about that.
There's a whole trans allegory in there of like being reborn as something else and all that. That's part of it. So I do like an his real face underneath all of that.
Hmm.
Um, with a purple wig. I used to do a white wig, but now I've upgraded to a purple wig, and I've got yellow wool that comes from my eyes, and I've got the blind contacts that are completely whiting out my eyes. And I usually wear big, high platform boots so that I seem taller. I'm sure you can't guess from my name being Tidbit, but I'm 5'2", so I'm not very intimidating normally. Uh,
Put some boots on you, like I.
so when I'm in my Kurogiri with everything, I usually have someone babysitting me so that I don't crash into things or trip
Mhm.
or anything like that. But once that's on, at a con, it becomes very overwhelming because I can't see people very well, and I just know that there's a lot of people around me, and I'm very like nervous about tripping on someone, bumping into someone, and I get like very in my head and anxious because I've basically lost my sight for it. So it's one that I usually do only in short bursts and then run back to the room and change out again.
Fair. That is completely fair. Now I guess now okay, one more before the other one. What's been your favorite body paint cosplay or cosplay that's required some type of special effects or body paint?
Oh, I do a lot with painting, but all the way body painting. As much as I was complaining about my blood troll came out really. Um, when I'm able to get Sukuna's tattoos even, I like having Sukuna's body paint for that. Um, in general, I'm usually finding ways around having to paint my entire body by having like special gloves made for my arms or body suits and stuff like that. So I don't usually end up with a lot of body painting. It's usually just from the neck up.
And it wouldn't hurt if you like and I think this is cool thing because I've seen some people do it when they get like, you know, whether it's female cosplayers or just in general, or even men that when they want to wear like the fake chest,
Yep.
feel like if you can find a way to paint that, that makes that saves time. Time.
Actually, there is one. I did I apologize for putting this in people's heads because this was part of my cursed cosplay series. I did humanoid himbo Gur from Invader Zim.
I seen that on TikTok and on your Instagram.
And I painted the entire chest silver with the little like door in the front, the like teal colored door. And I had like, it didn't show up much in the TikToks that I filmed, but I had like screws painted on.
If you got a picture or a video of or I would love to show that.
I will, unfortunately, that was on one of my accounts that got taken down.
I think I saw it on your Instagram.
It might be one of my Instagram.
Yeah, I think I was like, because I was like looking at cosplays to talk about, and I think I saw your himbo girl on your Instagram.
Yeah. My Instagram, it just goes to show you Instagram can be picky with people, but I've never
Oh
had a
yeah,
problem
I
with
see.
TikTok.
It's with your iconic chair.
Yes, my throne.
Okay, yeah, if with your permission, if I can show a
Go
video.
right ahead.
Oh, okay. It's like, and the one thing I gotta say with cosplayers, especially like when they do like TikToks or if they have body paint in general, the way that their face looks not only different, but how when they move their face, it looks cool. I swear, a body paint like, especially on the face when you're doing facial expressions, like the coolest thing ever.
Especially because that's when I was learning how to do drag makeup too, which is a
Ooh,
lot more about sculpting your face with false shadows and contour and stuff like that.
nice. All right, now what's your comfort cosplay? It's a cosplay you like doing no matter what, whether it's in the comfort of your home or at cons, you know.
That's got to be Loki from the MCU.
Ooh, I'm so looking forward to doing a Loki I have in mind in the future.
I'm finally going to finish putting together for Phoenix Fan Fusion my Agent of Asgard Loki. So
Ooh.
based on the comics version, I'm gonna make the scale mail chest piece that he wears,
So
and I
that is
already
a future cosplay. Agent of Loki or Agent Loki?
Agent of Asgard is the name
Agent.
of the comic series.
Oh, kind of like Agents of Smash or Agents of Shield. Kind. Okay.
Sort of. It's Loki going around. I'm not sure I would say he's the hero in it, but he's the Loki of it.
Yeah,
It's
no. Seeing all these Loki variants is like before they even had variants. It's like I've had an idea for a Loki for a very long time, and I call it my gentleman Loki because he'll have like the curled mustache, the thing here,
yes.
a fancy green suit, a black the fancy black trench coats
Hmm.
with with the short crown, a nice black wig, and I gotta find someone to make it. But and, you know his staff,
Yes.
instead of a staff, I'm gonna have it as a cane.
Yes.
So
I
yes,
love that.
Gentleman Loki is it's been a cosplay because I've seen all these Loki variants. Like, yes, we need more variants.
I love AU's variants, different like the different spider sonas that people make.
Hmm.
I love seeing that so much. Um, I understand that a lot of cosplayers goes through this phase where I have to be as screen accurate as possible and all this.
No,
A friend of mine, LARP like Ray, has so many different versions of Bakugo. Their Bakugo
yeah,
is amazing. My
you're
favorite is their steampunk Bakugo.
you're
Oh
lo
yeah,
you're
that's my coat.
that is. Did you make that or did you buy that?
I actually bought that one.
That fancy.
Because that was so fancy. I didn't feel like I had the skill to make it look nice.
Very fancy.
But Loki
Ah,
is comfortable for me, especially when I can just use my hair.
oh
Just throw
yeah,
it on the ground.
I agree. So now my all-time three favorite questions for anyone who's been watching this series from the beginning since they started asking. Have you ever had any cosplay missteps where something ripped, tore, fell off, and it just basically made you go, "Oh shit," and stuff that could go wrong did go wrong?
So that Vash arm we were talking about.
Hmm.
I was very last minute and I don't know much in terms of like wiring and setting up LEDs and like that. So what I put for the lights in my arm
Hmm.
are those little round LEDs that you can like stick on the wall and you push them and they
Oh,
turn on.
like what content creators use.
Yeah. So I just put two of those battery packs in there. And the problem is as someone who attends a Phoenix summer convention
No, no.
with EVA foam that what do you do to shape it? You use a heat gun.
Hmm.
So it looked good. It was looking fine at the start of the day, but as the day goes on, especially since I'm in that big coat and the black and all of that, I'm get warming up, I'm warming up, and the arm starts sagging. The Velcro that I
Cosplay
have under here holding
accordingly.
it together, it starts pulling apart. Oh, we had to go back and like jury rig it back into place multiple times. It lost its shape because I got so hot.
I mean, cosplay accordingly to to the con you're going to. Always check the weather. And I know with Arizona, I know it rarely gets cold over there,
Yeah.
but like
I actually on that note, I got heat exhaustion one year.
oh,
I did, this was right when I got back into cosplaying again. I did the Inquisitor from Dragon Age Inquisition, but specifically the Dwarven Inquisitor. And I insisted on wearing all of this leather.
oh, yeah, no.
And halfway through the day, I had made a silicone mold of my palm and put LEDs underneath it for the green glow,
Oh, oh God, what do they
the
call it?
Inquisitor's mark. Um, Well, I had wired it incorrectly, and I didn't know at the time, but I'd burned out the wiring. I thought I just run out of batteries. And so I went on a quest to find batteries that took me outside, walking a few blocks in Phoenix in all that leather. And I started getting shaky. I threw up. It was bad. Please do not overheat yourself for the sake of cosplay. Be aware of your weather, what you're wearing, and don't wander around the city if you're already overheating.
As a dwarf. I mean, Dragon Age in general, a good chunk of the outfits is either cloth, leather, metal, or combination of three.
Yeah.
I mean, that's any fantasy character right there. This is actually my all-time favorite out of the three I always ask. What's been that WTF moment? You know, WTF moment, convention horror story is just something that made you go, did that actually happen to like, okay, I just need to get the hell out of here. Something that's appropriate, that's PG-13.
Um, I'm trying to think. I'm very lucky that usually I spook people if anything. Um,
Or a PG-13 version of a story that you like can go into like some detail.
I don't really have any big horrifying ones. I have maybe
Or
a slight uncomfy.
or like
Um,
moments that made you go, what the
so I have a Pennywise that I do.
I remember seeing your Pennywise on TikTok with your red
Yeah, I have
hair.
a Pennywise and I have a Babadook. And ideally I like going out with someone else being my Babadook with me. But my Pennywise is fairly good, very popular, to the point where one con, this family comes up to me and they're like, come here, come here, come here. You see that guy over there? Could you just like follow him for a while? You don't have to say anything to him. If you could just follow him.
Wait, they asked you to follow him or they asked
They asked me to follow him. It was their dad,
Oh
who
no.
apparently is afraid of clowns, but
Color
Pennywise in particular.
colorophobia. Oh,
And I didn't
that's
realize
messed
like
up.
exact. I figured maybe it's like a playful thing.
Like a prank.
Yeah. So I followed him for a while. Anytime he turned to look back at me, I would just freeze. And I had a balloon on a stick,
Hmm
uh, just like smiling
Oh,
every time he turned back, and then I would
no.
follow him some more. And we made it like all the way down one of the rows in the vending hall before he comes over and he's like, "Are you following me?" He wasn't too aggressive about it. Like it didn't get bad, but it could potentially have
It
been.
could have like where it could have got violent almost.
Yeah. Um, this was definitely like he was very like who put you up to this? And like the family came over, ah ha ha, and brought the tension down. But I don't think I'm going to
That's
do
bad.
that.
That's well, there could have been many, like you said, it could have got violent. He could have potentially had a heart attack.
Yeah.
there's so many factors. Like I can tell that you would never do something like that again because you now know that it's just it's. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna use my second one. I'm gonna bleep it out. But that's fucked up that they had you do that. I know. Like you had no idea. I get that, but that's on them.
No, no. One of the things that I actually learned from cosplaying as Pennywise is how like absolutely horrified some people are. It's not like a, oh, that's kind of creepy, ha ha. Like some people can't even look at them. That's something that just plain didn't occur to me. Being spooky is kind of what I do, especially with drag. I refer to myself as more of a drag monster than a drag king. I do the scary drag, so I do a lot of clown stuff for that. But there's definitely some people who just they don't even want to look at them.
That's that is completely fair, and I haven't really seen a whole lot of Pennywises in the past few years either.
I like to do different versions of Pennywise. He's a fun face to paint, and
Oh,
then
I
I
mean,
have
it
the
looks like
buck
it.
teeth and stuff, and
And then
it's a lot of.
that suit you were wearing too for him, I saw.
Oh yeah, I'm that was for a drag show that were you were picking for a decade and I got the 80s. So
Nice.
I wanted like the 80s like business power suit and then I did 99 red balloons.
Hmm. I mean, I'm gonna show a pic, but like that, like, is
Oh
awesome.
yeah, and that one I wore to I don't know if we'd call that a con, a mini con, a horror con locally. I won third place, but I did my like
How did the
Victorian Pennywise.
how did the how did the buck teeth feel?
There, I honestly, I don't really notice them except that I get a little bit of a lisp.
I mean, with any teeth, especially if you're wearing vampire teeth, you get that little yisp right there.
I get a little bit. I'm very practiced with my vampire teeth. I'm pretty good with them. As long as I get a specific brand that makes them a slightly smaller one. They call them like sexy bites. They're just like smaller ones.
Speaking of, would you have piercings? Do you have to take your piercings off when you do your face paint, or do you leave your piercings on when you paint your face?
My piercings, so it's a combination. Number one, I try not to get paint in my piercings because that can lead to irritation. I do my best, but like my eyebrow is always getting mad with me. So I usually leave a little bit of a blank spot around it. If I want to get really, really up close, there's usually enough room that I can like move it and do that. And also I have Q-tips and I will put some makeup remover on them after my
Ooh,
whole face is painted and I'll just go in and clean up my piercings because
nice.
I learned when I started doing my TikTok content that a lot of people liked the fact that I would do this character but keep my piercings on. So it's, like it's a pro hero dynamite version of Bakugo, but I've got all my piercings and people like that. So
Nice.
at that point, not only did I decide to keep him around, I progressively got more piercings. There was a
Uh,
time when I was doing Pennywise regularly that I actually took out my lip rings because I was like, oh, people don't want Pennywise with lip rings. I learned some people want Pennywise with
with
lip
lip
rings.
rings. It just, I mean, again, I'm looking at the one from like May of last year and seeing like, yeah, I could see why people that like it gives it a whole different like look to him as well.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you wouldn't expect Pennywise to have like piercings and everything.
It makes everything look a little bit harsher. Although, as a result, especially we mentioned my Astarion cosplay, someone posted on Twitter, alt Starion. They used some of the like mods to add piercings and stuff, and I got tagged by so many people.
Naturally, naturally. Let's see. So another question from pertaining to these three. What's been your favorite convention moment? Whether it's just something that it's like something at a con that made you like excited, whether it's like a special guest actor you got to see who took a picture with you, or just something to this day that you always remember. As I call it, like a good core memory.
Um, so you know how I mentioned the convention where a whole bunch of my fans, I hate using that term, but like people who like my content and support me showed up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have an original character, Pro Hero Tidbit, that I do for My Hero Academia. Um, and people found out that my favorite character in My Hero Academia is Twice. And the first day of con, um, last year or was it the year before? It all blurs together. Everybody who knew I was going to be there, a whole bunch of them showed up dressed up as different versions of Twice. And they all found me because I dressed up as my original character on the first day. And we did a little TikTok together as all of them and took photos with me and all these Twices. And it made me want to cry how many people cared about my silly little original character. Uh, it was very touching. Um, I'm so thankful for everybody who followed my TikTok content, my Instagram content to a point that they like these original characters that I do. It's people like that that allowed me to leave teaching and become a performer as a profession, something that I've always wanted to do. And that was just like the moment where it hit me how much they've all done for me.
I mean, you basically answered another question I was gonna ask, like, what kind of impact has cosplay had in your life?
Oh, the fact that I have this job at the Ren Fair coming up. I'm regularly a scare actor for haunt seasons now, at 13th floor haunted houses.
Ooh.
I'm a drag performer that gets hired to perform at different bars in the area and events and stuff like that. I might have a job as a Krampus at a Christmas party coming up soon.
Ooh, fancy.
All of this stuff, like I in high school, I got pulled aside by our director one year, my senior year, and he told me that I was talented enough for the lead role in the play, but I didn't look like a leading lady. And that's why I was given a bit part. And then he assured me, oh, but you can do what, you can put your heart into it and stand out. And I won a New England Acting Award for that one. So, like, uh, and he tried to take credit for that. No, back off.
No, like I'm the one who did this. You did jack shit.
I I knew that I had it in me to do all of these things, but for a long, long time, I had it in my head that because I'm not skinny and conventionally attractive, that I can't do these things. And I was very wrong. I was so wrong. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter if you think you're conventionally attractive. If you're doing something that you love, that shines through and that makes your cosplay, your performance, whatever, stand out and people will be drawn into that. And embracing that and learning to love my body the way like it is. It's not perfect, but it's me dressing it up, my piercings, my tattoos, it's all sort of like a I love this body. I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna dress it up the way I want.
You're your own piece of art, basically.
Yes. And cosplay has been a way for me to realize that, to learn to love myself. Um, and I want to add in another bit of advice for people who are
And another tidbit, basically.
another tidbit of advice, yes. Especially in this digital age where you're going to be putting a lot of your cosplay online and you're going to get people who say awful, disgusting things to you. My advice to people then, is this a person that you would seek advice from, that you'd want to be friends with, that you would ever care about their opinion on, say, politics? If your answer is no, then why do you care about their opinion on you? Because you clearly wouldn't like them and wouldn't want to be the kind of person that they would like anyways. In my opinion, if awful people hate me, then I'm winning.
You're doing your job, basically, at that point.
And you have to get that in your head because the negative comments can really, really hurt. You can get 100 compliments in comments on a photo, and someone will leave a negative remark. And at the time when I first started, the negative ones would really burn their way in there. They really sit in there. And nowadays, I'm like, but you're getting ratioed here.
I mean,
Uh,
your one negative comment has no effect on me when people are like praising what I'm doing.
Yeah, I know that there are people out there who like what I do. I make a living off of it now. And even if that wasn't the case, if this is someone that I wouldn't enjoy getting to know. If they're someone who spends their free time trying to make other people miserable online, I wouldn't want to be their friend. I wouldn't care about their opinions because clearly they have a skewed perspective of the world.
No. So, two more questions before we end this. It's a question I asked in a previous interview, which I'm gonna actually start asking more because I asked a actor this a while back. What do you think your younger self would say if they saw you doing what you do when it comes to your cosplay and your drag and everything?
Oh, it's going to be an emotional one.
I mean,
Uh,
you don't have to answer if you don't want
no,
to.
no, no. Um, I grew up in the 90s and I didn't have words to describe who I am today. I had this feeling that like my body wasn't right. I had this desire to cosplay. Obviously, I was trying to do that and I got laughed at and, like bullied at school and all of that. I thought that there was no possibility that that I could do these things that I wanted to do and be happy. And here I am, and especially like drag, and I just had my top surgery, and I have everything that I thought I needed to give up on when I was in like high school is who I am now and is what drives my uh career, the money that I make. And if little me could see me now, I cry. Honestly. I'm I'm very happy with where I've ended up in life, and cosplay is a huge part of that process, of that journey of getting there. And I just wish little me could have known essentially it doesn't matter if people think you're cringe. If you're enjoying yourself, screw them. Do what makes you happy, and eventually you get to a place like me, a 40-year-old grumpy old man, where I don't care if
Again,
people think I'm cringe.
you don't look 40. I'm just putting that out there.
Thank you. I don't care anymore, and so I am free. I am free. When I don't care about other people's judgments, I am exactly who I want to be. I'm all those things that little me would have wanted to do. And it's perfect. It's wonderful.
I mean, it seems like you've had one. I mean, despite your TikToks, getting the axe, you keep on pushing. You're just like, you know what?
Ah,
And no matter how many times your TikToks get banned, you always come back bigger and
yeah.
better.
They
And
can't shut me up. I might not have my 160,000 followers, which is unfortunate because that was a big part of my income back in the day. But this is what makes me happy. I'm not going to stop doing it.
no, I mean, you'll be in your 60s still doing drag.
Oh yeah. I'm going to be fabulous, old man.
So last question. Any last minute advice you want to give out there to those who are listening and are watching this?
Well, given what we just covered, um, you will be happiest when you do the things that make you happy for you, not worrying about how other people are going to see you, what their opinion of your likes and interests is going to be. When you put that to the side, when you learn to not make that an important part of your life, that is when you're going to find happiness. If you're constantly worrying, oh, I love to do this thing, but what will other people think? That's going to make your life so miserable. I see so many people, especially young ones out there on social media, who are worried that their fandoms are cringy. They worry about like talking about their original characters and stuff like that. What will other people think about it? No, write that self-insert Mary Sue fake. Love that. Love it. Put it up. Adore yourself. Uh, do a TikTok to the Chrissy Wakes Up audio.
Oh God.
Do it. Let me see your Eddie Munson cosplay. Do it.
As cringe as it is, it's like that song still gets stuck in my head every now and again.
It's not serious enough. The people who get really bent out of shape, like, oh, this is cringe, this is cringe.
Like, I
What?
guarantee you've done cringe shit before too, so don't even judge me.
That's such a sad way to live, worrying that the thing that brings you joy might make someone somewhere unhappy. Forget what they think.
So guess what? It's made me popular and I have a life I'm living. What are you doing,
Ah,
Susan?
you're not wrong.
I'm saying.
But seriously, the best thing that ever happened to me was getting over that need to be sensitive of awful people's opinions. The people pleaser part of me, like, oh, I can't dress up like this. I'm not skinny enough to be this character. I don't look this way or that way. I can't dress up. Someone might say something mean to me. Well, then they're an awful person. If they're gonna take part of their day to say something negative to you, you who do not affect them in the least, then they're a bad person and their opinion shouldn't matter. If it
No.
makes you happy to cosplay, if it makes you happy to do the crazy TikToks, the little, meme dances, whatever, do it. You're not hurting anybody.
Mm-mm.
As long as you're not hurting anyone, have fun, be you, and screw everybody else.
No, I think I honestly can't argue with that. So last but not least, would you like to drop your links below? So just in case people want to give you follow on all the social media websites or, to stay up to date with your next cosplay, your drag show, or any events you're going to be doing.
Yep, I've got a link tree that has everything all in one place. I can pass that to you.
That's
And it's
good.
actually in my Instagram
Oh
profile.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that'll have everything. Occasionally, I'll need to update it to update my TikToks as people get mad and false report me. And I start over again every single time.
Mhm. Yeah, people are just a-holes. That's all I have to say.
They're
Um,
sad people, and I'm a
uh,
very happy person.
I can't argue with that. Again, Tidbit, thank you.
Thank
It
you.
was a pleasure having you on. Again, also shout out to Zydrate and Creepy Mama and
Medium
Medium
human.
Human for recommending you. As always, I am Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.